And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have an outstanding show for you today. You're going to get 2 hours of the Ascent in the background playing. I am addicted to it. It is one of my favorite games of 2021. It's in the running personally for my game of the year, right along death's door. And obviously we talked about this with Joe from Song of Iron, who was a guest on Tuesday's show, how we all believe that this is the year of the indie. I mean, we do have some big bombs coming. Joe, I owe you like $50 already with this, the B word, which I'm not allowed to say publicly. It's like $50 in the thing already. So I'm probably buying your next game. But yeah, the big bombs that are coming are great. Everyone appreciates them. We look forward to them. Not anything from Activision, though, unfortunately, because F them and F Blizzard. But that's for another podcast. The indies, though, are hitting hard. I mean, they are punching above their weights in 2021, and we've seen this time and time again. But for some reason, this year has been one incredible experience after another. And you know what? Let's get into the introduction so we can get into the show. First of all, we have a guest today who was awesome enough to interview me about a week ago on his podcast called Two Left Thumbs. Here is the host of that show making his debut appearance on the Double Barrel Gaming Network. Puppies, what's up, dude?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. It's good to trade off, You do my show, I do yours, right? Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you, folks. If you don't know, he is from Australia, so right now it's 1 a.m. in the morning, and he's still here doing the show. That's how dedicated of a podcast that he is. Yeah, he doesn't sleep, according to what he was saying. But it's great to have you, brother. Next up, you know him as the subtle voice of the PlayStation Nation. He runs a small little podcast called the Trophy Room that has over 10,000 downloads. P.S. by the way, on all of the RSS feeds. Mr. Badbit, welcome.
What up? And here's the thing: it's over. We're about to hit 200,000.
See, downloads. What do I know? See, that's what happens when you speak out of turn. 200,000 downloads, folks.
It's been an interesting
big. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Nice.
And this week delayed by a day, which I always get very anxious by because I feel like, well, now no one's gonna listen and no one cares about me anymore, and that's gonna be good for my ego, Boom. I need all the people to listen to it. So.
We definitely need the people listening to you, and congratulations. That's a monster number. And we were talking, pregame in the green room, folks. Listen, I know that I started to jump onto the whole RSS feed thing. I'm not getting a lot of downloads. I get 89 one week and 110 the next week. It's not a big audience. I'm still going to keep doing it because someone actually had asked me. I kind of slacked off a little bit. But YouTube is my game. Twitter is where you find all of my advertising. And you know what? Listen, I'm doing it the mom and pop way. It's small. We will hit the 10K by the end of 2021, hopefully. And if you're new to the show, of course, I want to say welcome. This is the kind of banter you're going to get each and every time you come here. 4 live shows, folks. 4 live shows per week. And they're all different. They're all awesome. And listen, I'm not enough tooting my own horns. Let's toot the horns of the guests. 4K Archie. You know him. It's Archimedes. Now, this guy has been on a tear with his channel. He hit 4,000 followers and subscribers on YouTube. That's a big deal. He dropped one video after another awesome video after another awesome video. How you feeling, Archimedes?
Thank you. After that introduction, I have to feel good, man. Thank you so much, Boom. It's been awesome. This week, like you said, I hit the 4K subscriber milestone on my YouTube channel, which made me really happy. And today I'm here on the Xbox Factor podcast. So can it get any better? I don't know.
Well, I mean, listen, it's great to have you here. I'm happy to celebrate with you. Like I said, 4,000 of anything, folks. It's a big deal, especially when you start talking about YouTube. It's a very, very difficult medium to navigate. You have to be good at your job. You have to be good at entertaining the people. Otherwise, they will not come back. And obviously, our comedians, you do that with every video, every show that you're on. So we are happy to have you today. Next up, this is a man is probably still smiling from ear to ear. Halo fan number one. Joe, I would dare say that you guys are going to be going head to head. You got a chance probably to play with your kids, which is dope. And more so than that, he has a Halo podcast. You know him as someone that recently joined the fray. N64 Josh, what's up, dude?
What is going on? Xbox Factor podcast. Here we go. I did get to play some Halo, and I loved every.
It was glorious.
I lost so much sleep. It's ridiculous.
I'm so jealous. I didn't get into the flight.
Oh,
I'm real
my
mad
dude.
about it.
Look,
I was
look,
watching
look.
my entire Twitter feed. Like, this is incredible. And I was like, oh,
This
why?
much from level 20, folks.
Yeah?
This much from level 20. It was a pinch. It was another, you know, oh, hey, you played today. Here's 100 points. And I didn't get it. But I played up until 10 o'clock until I loaded up the map, and it's taken a long time. And then I get a message, you're not authorized to play this. And I say, I thought this was going to 9 tonight. They lied to me, and they took it away, and I was devastated.
Dude,
Halo is back.
How sweaty that tech test got when they were like, and here's an hour, play with people.
Yeah,
play against players.
So good. It was so good.
Bizarre needs work, though, but everything else, fantastic. My goodness.
I'm going to say this. If anyone, I don't want to turn this into a Halo podcast again because I've been talking about it, but I could say this with confidence, folks. I know 343 has gotten a lot of shit from a lot of people in the past. I am here to tell you that we played a 2-month-old build, PS, by the way, and it played magnificent. Sure. Were there some clipping issues? Were there some sound issues? Did I have to get bumped out once or twice? It's a beta. That's what happens in these things. Folks, I'm here to tell you that don't have any concerns for 343 and their capability to deliver this fall. We're going to get, and this is the interesting part. The one thing that I love about the Halo franchise is that we're getting 3 things. We're getting a single-player campaign that's going to be basically opening the door for a semi-open world Halo. So, yes, please. We're getting the multiplayer. We got a chance to play it, and if you didn't, hopefully you signed up and they pick you this time. That would be great. And then, of course, for people who can do it, like John from Xbox Era, good friend of the show, he is a Forge guy. Like, this guy spends hours upon hours making these things. He's that professional. Folks, listen, you're getting 3 different things to do in Halo. And PS, by the way, it's an Xbox Game Pass. Yes, please, again, which we're going to get into because they just dropped 4 or 5 games today, and they're all bangers in their own way. Oh, I said it, Joe. I said it. That's another $5. I think I owe you $55 now. God damn it. All right. Anyway, let's continue with the last member of today. I'm going to start throwing the money out the window. This is a gentleman that everyone, including myself, looks forward to because not only does he have the biggest brain of the panel, his linguistics are just off the charts. Please welcome VJ. What's up, dude? How you feeling? And have you had your spot of tea?
Yep, I've had my spot of tea, Boom. Looking forward to today's show. And can't wait to get on with the topics.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here, brother. I cannot wait to get into it. And listen, folks, we have to get into what is one of the biggest stories. It's to open up the show. Curve Digital, if you don't know who they are, they're the publisher for Neon Giants, The Ascent. They made an announcement on social media that I think is extremely relevant to the conversation of what Game Pass does versus whether something is not in Game Pass. Are the devs making money? Is Microsoft raking these poor folks over the coals? The answer is no. It's always been no. And now we have more proof of it, folks. Listen, you know my feeling on Neon Giants, The Ascent. Forget the fact that I was extremely fortunate for a small channel to be in touch with them for over 7 months, going back and forth, getting a review copy, getting in touch with their social media team, which I think is 2 people. 12 people made this game. And besides all of that, besides the raving review that I gave it along with Archimedes last week, was it last week or was it? Yeah, it was last week we did it. We did it a live on the air review. Folks, this game, the little game that supposedly everybody on social media hates because it's terrible, and I think that it was review bombed. Listen, this is my I wish I had tinfoil because I put it on my head right now. I said this jokingly. I kind of sat back on it. I know I'm going to get some pushback on it, but sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I start to ponder with things, because I'm an ex-cop, right? So everything's suspicious to me. And I start to think, was the Ascent reviewed bombed because it's an Xbox exclusive? Now, I get that there's some bugs. I totally get that. And there have been. But you see the game in front of you. That's not a 3. That's not a 5. I don't even think it's a 7. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And it wasn't because Curve Digital or Neon Giant bought me out. It's because I can't stop playing this game. As a matter of fact, being the old man in the room, I've been staying up to almost 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, which isn't good for Boom when you got to go to the gym. And I can't stop playing it. So what am I talking about? Why is this the opening story? Folks, in the first week of sales, they made $5 million on this little game made by 12 people on a game that's in Game Pass day and date. As a matter of fact, Curve Digital is reporting that it is the first game to exceed that much money that they've ever been a part of in the company's history. Joe, I got to go to you first on this. Like, this is a big deal for a lot of reasons. We hear that Game Pass somehow, and Microsoft more specifically, the developers are getting raked over the coals. They're not getting their bag of money, and their game is hurting. Turns out that's not the truth. They made $5 million on the first week, and it was in Game Pass. This is a win-win for Curve Digital, but more importantly, Neon Giant. This is their first game, and listen, it's been all over the scale. It's gotten a 3 all the way to a 10, and that's fine. Everyone that I've told to play it has been to Boom. DMs have been going crazy. Boom, I'm so glad I listened to you. I'm loving this game. How big of a deal is this for the little guy that could?
Look, I didn't have a tinfoil hat, but I feel like that somehow this is wackier, right?
I love it.
Somehow I feel like this does it.
Anytime anyone jumps on my show with a squid hat on, I mean, listen, folks.
Splatoon hat. I was lucky. Here's the thing. I was lucky enough to get this from a GameStop employee who was sick and tired of it.
Good on you, because I'm jealous that I don't have a Splatoon hat.
So here's what I think. First off, it's a game. It comes out. It was a little bit too buggy for me, so I jumped out of it rather fast. Okay. I got a very weird and loud audio bug, and I was like, I'll wait a couple of weeks. So for me, it was definitely, I could see where some people were coming from. That being said, though, the more important thing to me is that this company seems like this was a success for them. 5 million is no, easy feat. When you take a look at like Neon Giant, this is their first game, so it's very easy. It's very PR statement of like, this is the biggest thing we've ever done. So it's like, well, of course it's gonna be the biggest thing you've ever done, because he could have sold 2 copies and be the biggest thing you ever done. But 5 million is a big number, especially if you are an indie dev, and how they spoke about their relationship with Microsoft was like, Microsoft wanted this game to succeed as much as they wanted it to succeed.
Indeed. Yeah.
And you hear this a lot with certain indies. Death Door devs even said the same thing of like how behind, Microsoft was with their game. So it's a really cool change of, I hate to use the word, but like narrative that Microsoft has had. I was lucky enough to have Odell Harmon Jr. on the Lost episode of the Trophy Room, and I like what he said. This is ground. What Microsoft's doing in the past year, 2 years, they're doing because they need to make up ground.
Oh, 100%.
And how do you make up that ground is you have to do you have to do the more progressive things. So seeing Microsoft back these indies that would not have been backed otherwise by, other companies, and seeing those things succeed for them, it's what I said, I think, on last week's shows. You're going to see in the next year or two what an Xbox looking indie is going to look and feel like, what they want from their independent developers. And I think it is going to be games like Ascent, games like Death's Door, that's going to define indies for the Xbox ecosystem. So it's awesome that this game is doing well. And I implore people with this bit of knowledge just to think it over, is that Game Pass is one of the only places that literally says, not how much can you give us to put this game on the service, but how much can we actually give you to put this game on this service.
Yep.
So that is like a Netflix style approach, where it's just like, we're buying your program, we're buying this game from you. You're going to start with this X amount of numbers from X amount of downloads. So as long as they keep that model and they don't do the Stadia route, this is great. This is really great.
Definitely don't do the Stadia.
Well, because Stadia, because like I know Xbox, it calculates how many people downloaded and then play the game for X amount of time. And Stadia, it's how many people download it, but then time spent on the game.
Yes,
is how much you get paid from it. I don't want that model to be something that Xbox adopts in the future. I like the current model that they have right now, because I feel like that is the thing that's really benefiting indies. So long story short, Joseph, like, even if, and here's the thing too, I want just to fight the notion of, even if a game isn't a 9 or isn't an 8 or wherever it reviews, if you like that game, it doesn't invalidate
your
download or invalidate a review. It's literally, it's literally you liking a thing.
Yes.
Like I said it. I said it on Cast Co-op is, I watched A Handmaid's Tale, all 4 seasons in 2 weeks. I absolutely adore that show. At the same time, I have the same energy for Loki, and I understand that both of those shows very different, and one's obviously critically more astounding, but I still like the throw popcorn at my face, watch something, and be amazed by it. So that's always what I want to always push. So yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, and you make a lot of sense there. A lot of what you said. Listen, at the end of the day, we're all under the understanding that even though that some people hold Metacritic as one of these end all kind of reviews, we understand that it's not. They have lost a tremendous amount of credit. Do not go by what they're saying. Simply, I implore you to just play the game. And if the game is not your bag, well, then, I mean, listen, it's just not your bag. What am I going to tell you to do? Same thing with, like, for instance, I've been pushing the game that I got a chance to review last year. Raji is incredible, man. I mean, if you like Mrs. Boom and I, we're into culture, specifically the Indian culture, and that is a game that not only celebrates that culture, it puts it on a pedestal and displays for everyone to understand. And it's just, again, one of those games you don't miss. Don't miss Splatoon, obviously, that brought to us by Joe, Mr. Badbit. But Puppies, let's get your opinion on this. This is a game that came out. It had a tremendous amount of marketing from Microsoft. Like, Microsoft really got behind this game. And we've heard the interviews with them. They could not have been happier with the way Microsoft treated them. And we're hearing this time and time again with many, many developers. What are your thoughts on them making $5 million on a game that was in Game Pass from day one?
This is honestly a beautiful thing, and I think this is what I'm so excited for Game Pass going forward as well, is showcasing smaller studios and indies like this and really pushing them to the limelight, because I think that's something that Game Pass has been really, really good at, is taking those indies and putting them in front of people that normally wouldn't play them. Like, if you saw this in the store just kind of buried somewhere, there's a good chance you'd kind of, oh, I have to pay for that, I skip over it. But with Game Pass, it's giving those indie developers time to kind of come through and have that game time and get their game in front of people. And we're seeing a lot of gems come out of it. You know, there've been some fantastic indie titles come out over the last year or two.
Yeah.
And this is a fantastic success story to look on, because, you know, 5 million is that's nothing to shy away from, especially if, like, without Xbox they wouldn't have been able to do this. So yeah, I'm all for this. I want to see more of this. Honestly, I want to see more indies push, because I'm kind of getting sick of AAA games, like, a lot lately. Like, I don't know if anyone else is feeling that kind of grind where you're like, all right, there's another Call of Duty, another Assassin's Creed.
Yes,
here 100%. We go again. And
yeah.
I want to see new exciting titles like this that are really fun. It's really good to see another twin stick shooter out there, because I love twin sticks. I haven't had a chance to play this yet, but I'm really excited to try and get into it and have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, this is fantastic. I love this. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of those stories that, as a content creator, just stepping back, you know, it's wonderful to see that teams of one person like Joe, who who's making Song of Iron, which is releasing on the 31st, to the two-man team that brought us Death's Door, which, by the way, I don't know about you guys in the chat. I don't know about the gals in the chat, or even the folks that are on the panel. I'm doing the cardinal sin of cardinal sins. I hate playing multiple games. I literally hate it. But there's just so much to play right now that I haven't even played Flight Simulator. I know, I'm disgusted. Like, I bought a stick for it. It's sitting right behind me. And I'm like, all I want to do is play this game, but I can't stop playing these other games. Listen, before we get to Josh, before we get to Josh, I'll come back to you in a second, brother. Let's get to Archie. But before I do, let me catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, the first one of the day comes to us from Chaos Mike, generous friend of the show. He drops a $5 super chat and says, here comes the boom and his podcast. Thanks to the Xbox podcast community, I'm enjoying Death's Door. Well, thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for the generosity. And, of course, thank you for the kind words. MK drops a very generous £2 super chat. And he says, boom, please stop the slur. Redheaded stepchild. See, I was confused by that. Did I say something negative? I don't know. Throw another comment in there. You don't have to do a super chat. Let me figure it out, and I will give you a shout out. Gerald Mack drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, World War II Call of Duty has a lot of competition with Battlefield 2042, F2P, Halo, and F2P X Defiant. Listen, it's going to be a stacked fall, folks. And you know what Call of Duty can do because they're from Activision? Look, Joe, from one Italian to another, they could suck it. That's what I say. I say nobody should buy shit from that company, because F those guys because of what they're doing over there. Sure, there's change coming, but that's because they were forced into doing it. And until Bobby Kotick steps down, I'm not buying anything from Activision ever again. I don't give a crap what Call of Duty. It could be in space for all I care. Nah, I'm not with that. Lord Roughness, generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says, loving the Ascent, bugs and all. Not only sign me up for the forthcoming DLC, sign me up for the Ascent 2 day one. Yeah, I mean, I think we got a franchise here, folks, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. They just dropped, what was it, I think it was like a 7 gig patch yesterday. It was pretty beefy. So I think I haven't had any bugs, folks. I mean, I've been lucky. I've had a few. Nothing crazy. And Kenta Wilson drops a $5 super chat and says, Game Pass is a candy store for gamers. Indeed. As a matter of fact, we're going to come to that and what they recently just added. And all I can say is, my God, when am I going to have time to play? Archimedes, you got a chance, like myself, to review this. You had an even better chance because now you're a part of the PC Master Race, and you had a code 2 weeks before. Yeah. Now, for clarity, Curve Digital, their social media department was their PR department was like, hey, boom, we got a code for you. It's not Xbox. I was like, yeah, here's the thing. I appreciate it, but my PC is not running what you're seeing on the X. So you know what? I'll wait. So I could have had it 2 weeks ago and had a review to go. That's why I did the review live, because I only had 4 days to review the game. But here nor there, are you happy to see that this little team has made $5 million on their game for Curve Digital?
Absolutely. Well deserved. Big congratulations to them. The game is absolutely fantastic. I hate to see that so many people have apparently issues, but I have to say that must have occurred after the launch. I think it has something to do with the netcode. Because when I played it, like you said, did an entire playthrough on PC. Obviously, the game wasn't out at that time, and I didn't have any online issues or major bugs. And I played like before launch on the Xbox maybe 5-6 hours. Now I'm like 10 hours or so on the Xbox in. As soon as the game launched, I had problems with co-op. I also had a few bugs, and in my video review I said, well, it's awesome to see a game that is developed by 12 people during a pandemic to run that well. So I feel kind of like a fool here. But I think they will fix that. And if you can see past that, past those launch issues, the game is absolutely fantastic. Like you said, it's addictive. The gameplay is just fun. It is the loot thing is so addictive. I love it. And they really put a lot of work into that game. It's the graphics are awesome. The sound design is definitely solid. There is a lot of great gameplay mechanics, like the cover system and everything going on. They have really done an awesome job on that game, and seeing that this is rewarded now is fantastic. And again, it shows Game Pass is good for the games, because we hear that narrative also a lot, that we have to buy the games to support the devs. And now this game is on Game Pass. They made a ton of money on it, and that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the team. And again, folks, I can't say for sure because I'm not in on the inside for Microsoft whether or not that $5 million that they made on the game's first week sales is indicative of the money they made from Xbox. I don't think so. I think this is actually people buying the game. But again,
I think it was across all platforms. So that means Steam,
yes.
PC, the Windows Store, and the Xbox consoles.
Yes. I mean, so it's a big deal. It's a $30 title, folks, and one that I think that is you should definitely. If you are into the cyberpunk thing, if you're into the isometric view RPGs, I put it to this way: if you're a Diablo fan, you almost got to play. Yeah, Joe, you want to say something, brother?
I'm sorry to chime in with something totally unrelated, but it's important to me, damn it. I'm sorry if anybody heard music behind me, because I caught my mother listening to, usually it's only Christian rock, and like rock is putting it like lightly, right?
Right.
It's like Christian folk. My Puerto Rican mother was listening and jamming out to Linkin Park.
Okay, you know what? Your mom is officially
my 6-year-old mother.
Mom. She's officially the coolest mom of social media.
You know?
Wait, this is very important. Which Linkin Park? Which album?
It was Minutes to Midnight, but
okay, there's some improvement to be had there, but that's okay. It's a good start.
Yeah,
still counts. It still counts.
Absolutely.
Still counts. We'll take it. It's a win.
Real quick, Gerald Mack drops an additional $2 super chat and says, "Boom! I 100% agree to hell with Activision and Blizzard. Yes, you know what? I mean, Blizzard's seeing some change. The head guy, he stepped down. He left the company. Listen, folks, this isn't a second lawsuit. Just was posted. This isn't over. This is far from over, folks. They're in big trouble. I understand that the board loves Bobby because obviously he makes money for them." But you know what? He's ahead of the ship, and if this kind of stuff is going on, if you don't know about it, then you don't give a shit about the people. And it's blatantly obviously that they don't. And listen, support them if you want, but Double Barrel Gaming says nay. But Josh, let's get your opinion on this. Again, 12-man team, two-person PR. I think it's like maybe one-person PR. This is a game that has AAA quality, and it's an indie title. Xbox got behind it early and often. We saw this first last May during their indie show that they had in 2020. I was on board from the minute I saw this. What are your thoughts on the team, announcing that they made $5 million on a game that's in Xbox Game Pass? Oh, by the way.
I don't know if it was last week's show or the show before, but I know we talked about Xbox getting involved and being a part of the story that led to lives being changed, right? And
yes,
their lives are forever changed by this.
Yeah.
And all this does is solidify in my mind that Game Pass is so good for these type of games, because what it does is it gives so much word of mouth that people couldn't help but pick it up. Like, Twitter was on fire. I couldn't look at Twitter without somebody talking about this game. I couldn't. It was just it was the big news of the week. I mean, one of the big, like, there was so much, right? There was so much. And so it, to me, just solidifies the fact that Game Pass is incredible for indie devs, and it's where their game should be. Because this game, for me, more than likely would have just sat in obscurity and I never would have checked it out.
And that's
the
a great
beauty
point.
of Game Pass, right?
That is absolutely the beauty of Game Pass, because
I've discovered so many games, especially in the indie scene, because sometimes, you just don't know, even though those games aren't full price titles, but they are still usually like $15 to $30 somewhere in that ballpark. And then you are, I don't know whether I'm gonna like it. It's pixel graphics or it's this or that. And with Game Pass, you just give those games a chance. And I have discovered so many awesome experiences. That's just awesome.
Speaking of which, little indie games that could. Now, Gang Beasts, for instance. Now, that was on PlayStation for a while already, but now it's an Xbox Game Pass. How many? See, I don't have kids. I have my nephew, but I don't have any kids. I know that I have heard more times than not that people, their kids, are laughing their heads off playing this game in Game Pass. Again, it's like Raji. These games are getting a second life from their original release in Game Pass. I think that is super, super important. How about the Rainbow game that no one would have bought? I mean, listen, folks. I mean, I have it downloaded. It's in the backlog. I'm going to give it a shot.
You mean Omno?
Yeah. Oh, dude, another one in there. Omno. I mean, that game looks dope, especially if you're into aesthetics. The game just looks gorgeous. We're going to talk about Game Pass and what they just added, because there's one there that could, again, I'm starting to hear some buzz of Game of the Year, and again, in Game Pass day and date. I'm getting excited. VJ, listen, we love you on this panel. Besides, you being very forthcoming about being in the business on both ends, both development and in sales. I want you to attack this from a sales point of view. A small studio, 12 people, Curve Digital Publishing, Microsoft gets behind them in a big way. There's advertising all over the place, Game Pass, and they still announce that they made $5 million on a game's first week sales. How big of a deal is this for both Curve Digital and Neon Giant Games?
I know a couple of the guys over at Curve, and they've been in the industry for quite a significant number of years.
Yes.
And they know how the game is played. And they were around before even, I think some of them are around before even Xbox were deciding to even make a console. So it kind of gives you the breadth and depth and the experience that's there to sort of nurture smaller studios and bring them to the forefront or to the attention of the big players, because there's lots and lots of small sort of independent developers that are either looking to leave a studio or conceive a project or in the midst of development. And I know we kind of always look at developers sort of being sort of the evil kingpins of the industry, but as I say often, if you've got a good product, you find the right people, you can always make very good use of a publisher. And but just to sort of a full disclosure here is that I haven't as yet had the pleasure of sort of playing the Ascent. I've sort of been uncharacteristically sort of caught up in playing Slay the Spire and Game Pass for some reason. But you've also sort of mentioned about the varying scores for the game. I'm assuming that's what's been going on. I haven't seen the sort of larger aggregate consumer or media scores, nor have I read any reviews for the Ascent, other than I think I accidentally came across a solitary 73. And I think we've been on the show, and the panel are sort of wise enough to know that many games don't deserve the scores they receive in many cases, but that's due to the ignorance and the lack of experience, and I'd say the lack of compassion in the media boom. That's my take on it. There is a real lack of. There's more a need for people to be heard than to sort of invoke compassion, kindness, and a love, and what the developer's been through and what the trajectory potentially could be. And there's been many developers. I know a couple of, I won't bore you to death, that have sort of been plagued or infected by opinions from the media, but that have gone on to achieve great things. And talking of that, I think that's also relevant to the fact that I think you're right in the fact that you need to look inwards for guidance and not outwards, because as I say, if you look outwards, you are going to be plagued with, and infected with opinions from all sorts, probably low rent opinions from all sorts of people. And as you said, Boom, the game is in Game Pass. If you're in the Xbox ecosystem, which let's be honest, you should be, because there's a strong argument there to say so, and play the game, whether it's the Ascent or whatever, and then look inwards, right, and determine what the experience meant to you, rather than trying to be a part of a fellowship, right, where you're a part of the group and part of the larger crowd, the sheeple, I call them. But in terms of what you said, in terms of, was it $5 million? I think they grossed, right, in the opening weekend or something. So that equates to what, 120 or 150,000 odd customers. And I think that's really, really good to see that 120 or 150,000 or whatever the number is, customers straight off the bat, I might add, haven't been unsettled, perturbed, or sort of put off from purchasing or supporting the game. Is it via Steam? I don't know what other formats it's on available to buy, but Steam, Xbox, etc. And I had, when I got your notes this morning, I did have a quick look, and I think that was just via Steam, right? That didn't include Xbox sales or Game Pass revenues, according to the publisher. So that makes it all the more impressive, right? But for me, it's really interesting to see, the types of games that Microsoft are championing, shall we say, and those sales, obviously, when I look at them, I'm thinking, wow, that's regardless of the fact that it's sitting in Game Pass for PC, where you can complete it or just take it for a test run if you want to, even before you buy it, right, or commit dollars to it. So it shows you the disposable income that's out and about there, right, amongst the public, even in these difficult times. And look, I'm not sure what exactly, since I haven't really had much time to think about it or give it enough thought, but it raised a couple of questions, or perhaps even more than that, right, about Game Pass and potential PC subscribers and their behavior and outlook, at least in my mind, right, in the short term. And one would be given that from Microsoft, as I see it, is that the way that they're going about things right now, they know how long it takes to make, really huge games. And the thing about Game Pass, it's a sort of a virtual digital buffet, right, or playground of video games. I think someone mentioned just before me on the panel, and it's all about the diversity and rotation of content that Xbox need or are seemingly sort of looking for, right? And that's why this championing indie games, which we talked about last week, and what's the strategy behind it? They're not just doing it out of their own goodwill. And what they're trying to achieve for Game Pass in order to sort of attain the numbers of subscribers that they're ultimately promising stakeholders and shareholders. And I think I said it last week, and I don't want to go too off topic, and the week before, I think, as well, that you're going to see a paradigm shift and remodification of gamers and the content we play and enjoy over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's just partly due to the type of the audience that will be in Game Pass. And then you've got to look at time, budget, quality, risk profile for the sort of game that you're making for publishers, as well as platform holders, right? And other than Xbox, the other two aren't really immune to it, right? Because as we've said so many times, that Xbox are in sort of permanent investment mode at the moment, and there's no signs of letting up, as I'm currently aware of, anyway, until it does happen, right? Which no one knows which way it's going to go. And if you take all this into consideration, I think that, time, budget, and quality, these are factors on the sort of games that will be made, especially if you consider what Game Pass has to offer quite frequently, and especially, as I said, that larger budget titles take 4 to 6 years, would we say, on average, to develop with no guarantees, and perhaps most have no guarantees, and you have to take into the account that it's only a small sample. It's not like I've read reviews or opinions of 100 or 200 million gamers, but just from what I see on Twitter, gamers are incredibly fickle these days. And it's always why I've mentioned, and I think it was last year, even when we were coming up to when we started to learn that these consoles were being launched, I said, look, guys, last year, I think this was, all 3 platform holders have very different gaming propositions on offer at the moment, right? And that's critical to the overall health and vitality of the gaming industry. And I think that's something Box and Bear and Archimedes spoke to last week, to the gaming industry. But what's really, really important in all of this, right, is that developers can choose the type of game that they want to make. And it's not just Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, but they've got these 3 distinct ecosystems and others. I can't remember them off the top of my head right now. I haven't had enough cups of tea this morning, but they can always find a home for a very good game. And so in closing, what I would say is that there are a lot of developers that don't make good games, but Neon Giant is it. Obviously, yes. With the support of Curve Digital, of I don't know, what do you call it in America? A home run? I don't know what you call it in Australia or Germany, but yeah, a home run.
Definitely a home run for sure.
I don't know sports. It's lost on me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Get him off the show, Boom. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so all in all, it's all you can do is really tip your hat to the 2 parties involved, and obviously for Xbox for picking it up and allowing it to be playable in Game Pass on day of launch, right? So that's it for me.
No, I mean, listen, getting more players to play your game is always a key, and I can guarantee you what you said. What a lot of people are saying is that. If this wasn't in Game Pass, would we have went out of our way to purchase? Now, I was in on day one because I love Diablo. I haven't played Cyberpunk. Surprisingly enough, I'm waiting for the next gen patch. It's still sitting in the wrapper. I bought the physical copy. I'll play that when that game is finally patched with the next gen upgrade. But look, all I can say is that this is a big win. I'm happy to have been a part of it on my channel and got a chance to review it. I keep pushing this game, not because I'm getting anything. I'm not going to get an award from Neon Digital. From Neon Giant or Curve Digital. I'm a big fan of the game, and I like them. I like the message that's being brought forward. That Game Pass isn't, like a crutch for these companies. They're still making money on the back end. I think that's super, super important. But I do want to move on to topic number 2. I'll just get my timestamp here because, people, they like to yell on social media about how my timestamps may or may not be correct. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Look, the one advantage that Microsoft apparently seems to have quietly acquired is, besides Game Pass dropping game after game after game after game into the service, that just has no limitations to how much games are in there. They have 2 distinct AAA bombs coming out this fall. Now, is it a big deal? Well, yeah, it kind of is a big deal because they find themselves in a position that both games, the developers, and of course I'm talking about Halo Infinite by 343 Industries, and of course Forza Horizon 5 by Playground Games, both launching this fall. The advantage is Sony is, they don't have anything AAA releasing that's first party. Obviously, with the delay of Horizon Forbidden West, they find themselves in a very, very, tight situation. Nintendo, I don't know what, they have Mario Party 11, I think. I'm excited for that because Mrs. Boom and I are going to play it, but they don't see,
Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah. And they do have the new Metroid Dread, which is the 2D Metroid. So those are their games. But Microsoft finds themselves in a great position. But I want to get back to Forza Horizon 5 because one of the words that I used with 343 Industries with the way that they put this this beta out, and the way that they handle themselves in social media was confidence. I mean, here's a perfect example of why I say confidence. And I talked about this on Tuesday. They programmed the Spartan bots to teabag down players. Like, if that doesn't tell you they're loose and having fun over there, I don't know what to tell you. I think that's dope. Now, I didn't get teabagged because I would have been like, oh, someone just teabagged me. Is that a real person? Turns out they were programmed. I think that's dope. I think that is showing confidence in the product you're going to put out there. Okay,
that is beautiful. This
is
the first
beautiful.
I've heard of this.
No. I'll show you a video.
As someone that just taught the kids how to teabag, playing Halo, this is perfect. I love this so much. This is amazing.
This is confirmed. This is confirmed that the 343 guys and gals over there programmed their Spartan bot to teabag, and it wasn't just like once or twice. They were like doing it like we would, and it's hilarious that happened. That's confidence.
I'm not positive, but I think its name was Victory Squats. I could be mistaken.
Listen,
but
whoever it was, look at it. The golf clap for you. But I got to talk about this topic is about Forza Horizon 5. Playground Games has become one of the top racer makers in gaming. And the confidence coming from this team showing off the newest Forza Horizon 5 footage was glorious. Like they slowed down. They showed the mud kicking back. They made a flipped the U-turn and came back, and you've seen the tracks. The background that we're going to be seeing, of course, it's going to be in Mexico, is just beautiful. All I could say is just beautiful. But this new footage they put out, and they put it out onto social media. It was on the Twitters, right? It was about 1 minute and 56 seconds, somewhere around there, just about 2 minutes, because, obviously that's all you can put. And it was incredible. And we're seeing this from the dev docs and them getting out there and doing interviews, and they're putting clip after clip after clip. My excitement for this game is through the roof. See, I am not a motorsport guy. Like, I want to crash through signs. I want to run up volcanoes. I want to chase people. I want to go off track. That's why Horizon hits it with me. I was okay with 4. 4 was good, but it wasn't my favorite. Right now, it's still 3, and that's because of my inner child that gets awakened every time I'm driving on a Hot Wheels track. Right, like that's my thing. This looks like this could potentially jump ahead of it, because it's just looking more and more exciting. And plus, there's a you can drive a hovercraft. And it looks like the G.I. Joe hovercraft from the 80s. I'm sold. Thank you very much. Let's start with our guest. Puppies, this is a game that is going to be releasing for holiday. It's got the buzz. It looks like the confidence is there from the team. Did you get a chance to take a look at the footage? And what are your thoughts on what you're seeing?
I did get a chance to look at the footage. I'm very much in a similar boat with you. The car should probably be the appropriate vehicle here, but I'm not a huge motorsports, and sports aren't really my jam. But Forza has always been something I've always gone and played no matter what. Mostly because, especially with the last couple, their social interactions with like what you can do with other players has been really good. So getting on with a bunch of mates and just cruising around and jumping off. I saw them jump off that volcano. It was so perfect in every way. It was picturesque. It was beautiful. It was chaotic, and I love that. But yeah, so I think this would be great. I think it'd be a really fun game. It's not something that I'll be playing for years and years and years to come, but it's something I'll sit down and have a really good time with, and just absolutely marvel at the world they've built, because the amount of detail that we're seeing just from YouTube and YouTube doing its thing with video, we're not really even seeing the true detail there. I really want to see that in person, to see that fresh kind of those crispy graphics, all those reflections as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes from this game and how well they've put it together, because Forza's always been such a good technical showpiece for Xbox. Like
Yes.
every time we get an announcement, it's always kind of near a console. Like this is how we're showing off the new graphics is with Forza, and it's good to see it again. In Mexico, the scenery they have is amazing. I can't wait. I'm weirdly excited for a genre I don't normally play, so I like.
And that's saying something. And that's again, that's one of those comments that make you sit back and say, okay, so if they can get the Forza people excited, that's common. That's common folk, right? Like you'd be like, okay, well, you're excited, you're a Forza fan. But when you hear stories like what you just said, I'm normally not my thing. I'm not going to play it every day of my life, but I'm excited. And you're normally not someone to jump onto that. That's a big deal, dude. And apparently they're definitely doing something right. And I think we're all going to be in for a treat. They've already have multiple DLCs planned. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's actually super hard to top Hot Wheels. I'd like to see them bring them back in a big way. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm definitely on board. Real quick before I get to you, Joe, Thomas Kuzner in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the podcast gets me through hours of mindless work. Keep it up. Well, dude, I am so happy to hear that. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, and thank you for the compliment. But of course, thank you for the generosity. And speaking of generosity, PNX Gamer, my God, I don't even think I'm worth this. I'm going to be honest with you. He drops a 50-pound super chat. He says, thanks to you, Boom, and all the legends you get on to discuss killer topics week in and week out. The best show I listen to by a long way. You, my friend, earned my first super chat ever. It's raining games, and I'm loving it. Well, dude, let me tell you something. $50 or 50 pounds is a lot of money. I'm every time I get any super chat, I'm extremely humbled because I don't come to do the show because I'm expecting to get paid. I come just because I love this community and I love gaming, and there's actually people that want to hear it, which is great. But thank you for the outstanding super chat. And speaking of super chats, another one comes in from John Mitchell for $20. It says, great show, Boom. I have never played a game like the Ascent. I love it. Reviewers are too hard on this game. Yeah, I absolutely agree. But listen, gentlemen, thank you so much for the very generous super chats. That is insane. And just real quick, because I'm slightly confused. Before I get to you, Joe, maybe some of my European friends could help me. MK says, Boom, every second episodes, someone says the slur, redheaded stepchild, and connects it to something disgusting, horrible, or useless for a variety of reasons. It's not cool. Listen, dude, I don't go to my way to insult anybody. Redheaded stepchild is a terminology that's used. If you're offended by it, I humbly apologize. I don't recall saying it today, but if I did and you're somehow offended, brother, and you got red hair or you're a stepchild, I'm sorry. The only thing I can say is that if you're not happy with the show, brother, hit the thumbs down button, go on social media, say that Boom's an asshole, and unsubscribe. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't go out of my way to be to be an a-hole. But if you thought that I was and I somehow offended you, well, then I'm sorry, and you don't have to listen to the show. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. You're not required. This is not required listening. But if you want to hang around, we appreciate the listen. And if you were insulted and I somehow did that, I apologize. Anyway, let me get to Joe. Joe, Forza Horizon 5 is doing things that we've seen done before, but they somehow made it even better looking. The control looks spot on. And like I said, the word confidence is a big deal here because the way that they are putting this out here, and they're not making a big deal out. They're basically just going on their social media feed and dropping a clip. Here you go, take a look, enjoy it. This is us just running around. I think that does scream confidence. What are your thoughts on what we saw?
Dude, it's looking good. It's looking real good. I think the thing that impresses me with Forza Horizon, I want to take a look at it on the social feeds as well, is the environments. From what I understand, these are like 12K renders, but like it's been manufactured in 4K. Like the thing that
The
honestly,
skyboxes are 12K.
oh my god, I was about to say the lighting
It's just
should
bananas.
be banned. I'm looking at one where you're looking at the mountain range. That mountain range looks real. You can't even tell me it's not. And like I'd be like, this game looks stunning. It looks so stunning that I do have one gripe with it. It does, to me, make the cars look a little fake. It's like I'm driving a video game car in real life. Right, so like that, but like what a gripe to have that the world looks so real that my avatar looks fake. Dude, this game looks awesome. I can't wait to jump in November and give this game, I think, the most honest go I've ever given a Forza game. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm gonna put more than 5 hours into this game, but I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna download it, I'm gonna try it out, crash into something, and try to climb a mountain. ASAP.
You can confirmed. You can drive up the volcano. P.S. By the way,
Dude,
I'm doing it.
Yeah, and like we're
I'm
taking a look at the jungle as well. Like the god rays that are from the skybox look phenomenal. And the one thing that I have to give big props to is the foliage. Look at how much grass is on field. Look at how many bushes, trees that is on there. It's stellar. This game looks fantastic. I'm really happy for Xbox because look, Game Pass is great and everything, but when it comes to like the killer app right here, right now, I need to play my Xbox 4. We're still waiting on it, right?
Right. Yes.
And
100%.
I think
yeah,
like what Microsoft first off has been able to sell so many consoles without it, and because of Game Pass, and then we're going to sometime this holiday have 2 games that are going to be this is next gen. Like Forza Horizon, this is next gen. Like this is what the future of games is going to look like. Halo, that's next gen to me. I know you can play it on the 1S or whatever, but wait till you get that LGC one. Changes your mind. Changes your life.
I am going to be upgrading this fall because of you and because of Archimedes and because of all these other people.
All these terrible influences.
The QLED slander. It's as bad as King David with the
TCLs.
The TCL. That's right.
Poor guy. Poor TCL. So many. There's nothing wrong, gang. There's nothing wrong with a TCL. If that's your budget, that's your budget. Be proud of it. Have fun. Okay, don't let King David and his knees deter you. But
actually,
also
what you get from TCL for the money, is quite good. The price value is very good with TCL.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Exactly. So this looks stunning, and it's awesome. It's awesome that we're seeing more and more footage from this game already. You know?
Yeah, dude. I'm again. It's one of those moments that you're like, man, I'm so happy for these teams. Like the confidence coming out to put it out there and so nonchalant. Like when I put something out on Twitter, no one gives a flying F, right? And that's fine. But they're dropping these. Hey, take a look at the video that we did today on Twitter. Oh, by the way, and it explodes on social media. I mean, it was trending yesterday. I love that for Xbox. More specifically, I love that for Playground Games because this is again the same team that's going to be bringing us Fable in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
And I'm totally stoked. Real quick, I was laughing, very unprofessional of the host. AJ Harris drops a very generous $10 in chat. It says this: I just went to my local supermarket, went to the produce section, and started punching all the fruit. Turns out there's no physics. I don't think we will be shopping there anymore.
What an embarrassing tweet by an embarrassing individual that was. My
Could you
goodness
please explain
gracious.
to the people what we're talking about? So
so someone, a fanboy. I'm not gonna name names because
we don't name names on this program.
I forgot, or else I would say it. But they were just like, oh, look at Halo 5, really impressive with over $500 million spent. This is what they did, and it was just a guy shooting watermelon, and it just disappeared. It didn't look great. But that's not the point. That's not what they're going for, you know? and at the same exact time, people are killing chickens, which is have hilarious death animations, by the way. Like, I saw one literally poof. You just see
the one that was running around on the bazaar, right?
Yeah. The grenade goes off, and it's literally like a Looney Tunes moment where it's just poof. hilarious. It's like, yeah, people, armchair developers. What can I tell you? But
Yeah,
game looks
well,
incredible.
thank you for the super chat, brother, and thank you for
Great
making
one.
sure. Hopefully, you didn't, you paid for the fruit. There's not a warrant out for your arrest for punching all that fruit and running away because you can't punch fruit and not pay for it. But thank you so much, AJ Harris. Definitely appreciate you being here, brother. Archimedes, let's get your opinion on this. You got a chance to take a look at the footage. Dropped very nonchalantly. But my God, what 2 minutes can do to sell a game. This was trending yesterday, and for good reason. What are your
Have
thoughts?
you seen the follow-up today?
No, I did not. I was busy at the
they
gym
were-
and doing housework, so I missed on all social media feeds.
I think we will see that now continuously because yesterday they had that tweet with we are driving into the swamps. And today they had it. We are out of the swamps, and they drove through the jungle. And I think tomorrow we will go into a city or something. Definitely awesome looking game. I mean, come on. I've seen so many people claim on Twitter when they revealed it during E3 that this isn't a game anymore, and then they were posting these shots from the landscape and saying, where's the gameplay? But they missed 2 seconds later where the cars drove in, and it's gameplay. It's actual gameplay, and I bet that a lot of people here, like Joe said it, are going to play the game just for the graphics, more or less. Even if racing games are not your kind of thing, this is you have to admit that this is an impressive achievement, and racing games traditionally look good. I can't remember a console generation where you didn't get a racing game within the first year, and it has always been a showcase for graphics. That's just what racing games do. The difference here is though that Forza Horizon 5 is an open world game. The racing games look that good because they are very linear.
Yes.
You don't have to have a lot of physics, animations, and stuff like that going on in the background, and you can load in your assets very streamlined because you know exactly what is coming around the next corner and where the car will drive, and that's not the case here with Forza Horizon 5. It is open world. You can drive very slowly through that rainforest and see the beauty of the flora and fauna, and it's amazing how well detailed that game is. And you mentioned or touched on it briefly, but I was looking at that and constantly thinking, will Playground Games be able to pull that kind of graphical fidelity off in a Fable?
Could you imagine? I mean,
we know it's running on the same engine, right?
I think that, believe it or not, this is the old engine that they're running it on. I think they're using a better engine, a newer version of the engine for Fable, if I'm not mistaken. And folks, if I'm wrong, please tell me in the chat.
Well, we know that they are already using some tech of the new Forza Motorsport Forza tech engine that they are building from scratch, but it's only smaller parts. Like they talked about something like asset streaming and something that they already are using, or parts of it. But it's not the new engine. The new Forza Tech engine will premiere with the next Forza Motorsport, whenever that will come out. I guess it's next year, but we will see. I'm not sure whether they will automatically adapt that to the next Fable game, to be honest, because then when this engine comes out, it is again a very streamlined and linear game engine, and it will take them a couple of years to make that adjustment to an open world game, and then probably the first step is bring in the car physics, and then bring in the and I think we will see that kind of engine in the next Forza Horizon game. I'm not sure if they will be able to use that already. However, I'm good with Fable having graphics like Forza Horizon 5. Come on, if they can pull that off in a magical world where you have that fantasy setting, with a lot of colors and fantasy buildings and stuff like that. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. That would be so awesome. Yeah, we will see where they take that, because an open world action RPG is definitely something else than a driving game. Yeah, you have to take care of a lot of other things like character animations and everything, and AI from enemies and whatnot. However, yeah, Fable is still 1 or 2 years out at least, so they have a bit of time to adapt, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, there are several people in the chat that have confirmed it is going to be an updated version of the Forza engine for Fable, which is awesome. That's very exciting, knowing that they're going to be. I mean, listen, if they can do what they can do with an open world driving game, just imagine what they're going to be able to do for a third-person Fable. Again, it's a very exciting time for it to be an Xbox fan. All of these games that we have been hoping to get, we're going to be getting soon enough. But N64, Josh, let's get your opinion on this. Are you excited, and will you be streaming some Forza Horizon 5 later this fall?
Absolutely, yes. I am beyond thrilled to jump back in. The game is stunning. I mean, we went from playing a screensaver in the flight simulator to racing in a screensaver with Forza. It's unreal. And I just the confidence that you were talking about, I love seeing that. Good on them. Like wear that, own that. Just own that. They're putting out an incredible product that we're all going to enjoy. Forza is the Horizon series is great. Like, I had somebody in my Discord this week. I beat them. My drivatar beat them in a race, and they were like sending me mad faces in Discord with the screenshot. I mean, I love that we get to. It's like the evolution of the leaderboard, right? Where like they still get to race against your friends, even if you're having to play solo, and the ability to jump in and out of online, like the game just offers so much, and the way it looks is just unreal. And I'm gonna probably have to join that C1 club with Joe.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Come.
Well, right now
The
I'm part of
water's
the Jelly
fine.
Club, the Jelly Club. I'm part of, but I will be joining that club. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, dude. I think that the word confidence is not being overused at all. I love that they're going every day. You just have to follow them on Twitter, and you'll find some new footage this game is close. I don't know how close it is to being gold, but man, it looks good now, and we're still months away from its launch, right? I mean, we're only in August. We still have it's coming out in November, so that is freaking awesome. But VJ, let's get your opinion on this. Seeing them going out of their way to do the pre-game launch advertisement. That's not the big funds from Xbox, not on big billboards and on basketball courts or on the top of buildings. They're simply putting clips out there, besides doing these dev docs where they're like, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. The devs are talking, people are watching. What are your thoughts on this, man? Good strategy for Playground Games?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen the new footage. However, I am genuinely happy and not surprised at the excitement around this game. I dare say, Forza 5 in terms of how it looks is incredible, but not actually a huge surprise given the studio it's coming out of, and especially to anyone that sort of followed PGG over the years and seen their ascent. No pun intended. Well, there was, but anyway, and or play Forza religiously or every so often, and actually somebody comes to mind, the ever popular and present community member, Mr. Tushi, who comes to mind, and for me, he's a standout admirer, enthusiast of Forza, and to this very day, he still sort of periodically posts screenshots on social media via photo mode or sends them to me via WhatsApp, and it's an incredibly popular franchise. And I would also say, sort of, besides many people that sort of say or they actually go and play Forza sort of on an ongoing basis, there are also those that sort of observe and acknowledge the rise and ascension of Playground Games as a wonderful racing game studio, and I think we've talked about it on a few times, right, in the last year as well, in terms of what are they sort of going to concoct next, right? Other than all the fantastic DLC, right? And I think some of it was free as well that they kept supplying, right, to expand the Forza 4, and especially sort of for me, they're a studio who perhaps currently occupy the much sort of coveted position as the best racing game studio currently out there. I'm sure others have got their favorites, but that's for me where they stand out the most. And I know a lot of people talked about the different features, and Mr. Badbit pointed to the lighting, and Archimedes obviously pointed to the shrubbery for some obscure reason. But anyway, but I think the key point there is obviously their attention to detail, and I would say what they've generally contributed to the car racing community and as a genre as a whole over the last several years. I think that's where they sit, right? And lastly, if on occasion I sort of do watch, and I did at E3 obviously, where everybody else, and I think a lot of people on this panel, thanks for inviting me on that show, Boom. If on occasion I do observe or watch anything sort of new related to Forza 4 or Forza 5 footage, that the hairs on the sort of back of my neck and forearm sort of tingle and stand to attention, and that's just just looking at purely what's on the screen, right? I can't really help how my body reacts. I'm not really often in charge of it, and I would ask the question again, to myself, obviously, and I think some of us have already asked that question, because given the answers that have come from the panel, how wonderful will Fable actually look when it's finally revealed for the Series X? For
it's
me,
gonna be something, that's for sure.
Yeah, and for me, Boom, it's not about what Playground Games continually achieve with Forza sequels anymore, but instead, for me at least, as I say, it's Fable, and Fable is I don't want to put too much pressure on PG. For me, it's the next true test for PGG to show yet again, as a studio, it's and I'm saying this because a lot of studios sort of fumble and fall down at this stage, is how are they able to evolve and rise to the challenge, the occasion, and meet the quality and the expectation of the fans and the responsibility that comes with it, and if not exceed these specific points, especially when it comes to a very different genre or category of gaming, right? It's fantastic to see unravel before our eyes, so to speak. And that, for me, it's obviously we started the show talking about developers and publishers, but more so we always also sort of lean towards our hopes and dreams for a specific developer that catches our eye. So they've already done all of that. So for me as a developer, working at such a renowned studio, right? Regardless of having first-party supporters, I think they would achieve what they've achieved without Microsoft to a degree, right? If they were still a standalone studio, then the argument comes in, well, they probably would have been acquired anyway, which they have done, right? But as a worker there, somebody working there, whether I'm on the design team or in the development or involved in development, any shape, way, or form, for me, going to that studio, we talked about recruitment there last year as well, would be all the energy, incentive, inspiration, and motivation to go out and make a successful next project. And sort of perhaps the way that they own the racing game, or a large percentage of the racing game, how can I put it? Consumers and franchises or racing games, the genre, the way they dominate that genre, you wouldn't put it past them to do the same, or at least throw their ring in the hat with Fable when it comes to action RPGs. And I think this is a really big test, and I think anyone working it, we're super motivated, as I've said. And thanks for helping me out this morning. I don't know, my vocabulary is lacking today. I really do apologize, Boom. That's the only reason why I'm on the show with my small brain. But
get yourself another cup of tea, brother.
Yeah, I will. I will do. I will probably something stronger, maybe a coffee.
Okay, now we're talking. But listen, great stuff as always. Listen, folks. We're getting. I want to thank. We have almost 300 people here. I want to throw this out there. I see a lot of new names that I've never seen before. If you're not already subscribed, man, I would definitely appreciate you hitting the sub button. Again, four live shows per week. Mondays, you get prime time gaming at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You get 2 Xbox Factors per week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, we finish the week off with Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tomorrow's show is going to be killer. I don't know if I have any guests just yet. I'm going to see if I can grab 1 or 2 extra people to jump in with us. But we should have most of the crew back. And it's going to be a great show because we have some confirmation that the announcement of the long rumored 2 games for the PlayStation 5 that are going to be exclusives in, of course, Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid could be announced at that August show. And we don't know. It's a rumor, but we have something to go on because I have a story that I pulled. Looking forward to that because, like I said, listen, of course, I'd love Metal Gear Solid on Xbox. But you know what? When I think of Metal Gear, I always think of PlayStation. That's where I played it first. MGS1, top 5 games of all time for me. And to get a remake, and if it's Blue Point, and I think it is, my God, we're in for something really special. I cannot wait. But I want to get on to topic number 3, folks. Now, this one is a small one, but I have to immediately go to it's a Game Pass topic, folks. No big surprise there that you're on the Xbox Factor podcast. We're going to be talking about Xbox Game Pass. Today, they dropped 5 new games into that range from, and they all seem to be small. You have Dodgeball Academia, which looks dope. Luminous Remastered. If you're a Luminous fan, it's in there for you. Dope. What is this? Star Manchit. I don't know what that is, but it's in game preview. Supposedly, it's a single player game. Karamardi Damasi Re-Roller. Now, again, it's a simple game. It's a mindless fun. You just roll around, you collect things, you laugh. The kids are probably going to dig it. But here is where we get serious.
And I'm not saying you should play it with a substance, but it's pretty
maybe
wild.
That would help. But if you did, or into,
it's illegal.
Yeah.
Not in Jersey anymore, but somewhere probably.
Somewhere it's
illegal if you get caught.
Play responsibly.
Illegal if you get caught. Well, there you go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But here's where this is where I'm not promoting anything. I'm an ex-police officer.
The retired cop is like, yeah, it's only illegal if you get caught. That's true.
Listen, I am not supporting marijuana in any way. I've never done drugs, folks. This temple don't even drink. Okay,
that's right.
So there you go. I'll have a piece of cake, like a good Italian, with a coffee after dinner. That's something I'll never give up because, listen, it is what it is. I'm a gabagool. What can I tell you? Part gabagool anyway. But this is where we get serious, folks. Curse of the Dead Gods looks dope. It looks so dope that I may download it and start playing it, and I hate doing that, but I have to check this out because it is a hack and slash isometric view. It kind of looks and kind of plays a little bit like what was the game of the year last year for? I always forget the name of it. The indie game.
Hades.
Yes, it looks very Hades-esque, if you will. If you're into Hades, I think, which drops in the Game Pass this month. Oh, P.S. by the way, Curse of the Dead Gods is something that you may want to check out. But you know what? Also, a big shout out to the Indie Gamer, good friend of this program, great friend of the community, and of course the indie community. Art of Rally is a game that's coming out again. Weird view, very artistic racing game. He's been talking about this game for a year. It's been on PC. It's finally coming to Xbox Game Pass. And Codemasters, who recently was purchased by EA, and some of their people left, and that's not good. But 5 of their games, 5 of their racers are dropping onto Game Pass via EA Play. I mean, listen, it's just another bunch of titles dropped in there, making this the best service since sliced bread. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to get everyone's opinion. Joe, I'll start with you. another 5 games into Game Pass. They're kind of like they just snuck them in there. Like, hey, 5 games for you.
Yeah.
And they range from everything. Puzzlers, top-down isometric hack and slash where you're fighting demons. Yes, please. If you're into old school PlayStation games where you just roll around and you potentially smoke something that makes it even better. Hey, listen, good for you. What are your thoughts, bro?
Play Hades. I can't wait.
Yeah,
on 4K, the HDR maybe. Who knows?
Yes.
But yeah, no. Play Hades. That was game of the year on many outlets last year for good reason. Everybody's hot. Apparently, I can't wait. And it's true. I mean, you just take a look at some of these sprites, and you're like, my goodness, these people, boy, literal Greek gods and goddesses. But honestly, I can't wait to play Hades because the reason why I couldn't get into it on my Switch was the screen was so small. I got dumb eyes. I can't see that font. Come on, you kidding me? So yeah, being able to play it on a big screen is actually where I want to play my roguelikes. So after playing, games like Returnal and loving it, being my first roguelike, I'm really excited to jump into Hades to see how that is going to be. And knowing that it's on Game Pass for you all Xbox folks, that's as the kids say, it slaps. Not the B word, it slaps. So
slaps
that's
with
my
an
thoughts.
S. Yes. Well, I love it.
Yeah.
Real quick, we have, let's see, good friend of the show, Safe Space Invader drops a $2 super chat. Thank you for your generosity, my brother. He says, what all LG OLED gamers say, worth every penny. I hear that time and time again, and Joe obviously will reiterate that. Obviously,
Yes.
4K
That's
Archie
a fact. It's science.
will reiterate that as well. So of course I have to be in on the conversation because what I'm going to be jelly. But puppies, let's get your opinion on this. Again, today, out of nowhere, five games ranging, which I think is really the crux of the conversation when you talk about Xbox Game Pass, because it's not just packed with racers and dude bro shooters. And here's a perfect example of that. All of these games in their own way are big but small at the same time. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I need this. Like, I think I spoke about this earlier as well. Like, I'm kind of done with like the big AAA games that are all kind of the same. You do bro shooters, your racers, you even like to a point, your third person action games, open world at the moment, they're getting a bit wearing. So seeing lots of really cool, kind of weird indies come through like this is fantastic. I love the variety, and I think it's, again, what Xbox Game Pass should be really focusing right now, is pushing these smaller studios and showcasing the talent they have under their wing. Because from this, we get these smaller indie games come through, they blow up, and then from there, they do their second game. And then that one blows up, and we get more, and we get more, and we get more variety, more invention in the space, more weird and wonderful things. An example I like that's coming up soon on Game Pass is Lemon Escape, which is the first-person strategy game, and I got to play the beta of that, and it is mental. I love it. It is like 5D chess, and it's phenomenal. Like, I played, I think there's only 3 maps available in the beta. I played it for 6 hours, just non-stop. I just like constantly playing, and I feel like, because there wasn't that many people when I was playing, but about 2 or 3 people, I was just playing the same person over and over again, and every match played out different because of the way that it empowered you to employ different strategies, and I thought that was fantastic. So yes, I want more of this, more weird genre-bending titles, more just weird things. I'm all about the weird. I like weird. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't keep up with Game Pass anymore. I just bought another 4 terabyte hard drive for my PC, and I'm like, I'm gonna get another one in a month. I have no room for all these games anymore, and it makes me sad because I'm not gonna get to play them all because this is too much. Like,
real world problems.
We had this
folks.
discussion a couple of weeks ago, where it's like, you don't like playing that many games at a time. I have like 8 games on a run at the moment, and I don't know where to finish and start, and it's getting overwhelming, and it's great, but thanks, I hate it at the same time, You
know what? I mean, I think you're onto something. There does come a point where literally the list of games that I want to play are just so backlogged. It's preposterous. Like here's the thing. Like one of the things that suffers for me, and again, it's my own doing because I produce 4 shows and there's no help. It's just me. Mrs. Boom helps on the back end with a lot of stuff, but up front, the production of the 4 shows logistically pulls me away from gaming. And because I'm an old man, I'm not up to 2 o'clock in the morning unless it's a game like the Ascent that has that doing it to me. I'm in bed by 11 o'clock. I'm snoring. I'm waking up the next morning because I'm up at 6 every day of the week. And on weekends, Mrs. Boom and I are up at 4:45 to do our hikes. So there is no sleeping late for Boom. So I don't get a chance to play as much as I like to. That's why yesterday was a bit of an anomaly. I sat on the couch like a potato chip that was underneath, and I sat there for 7 hours. And unlike that potato chip, which they're really no potato chips, I'm just being facetious. I played this game for 7+ hours, and it was glorious. It was just so much fun to sit there like a college kid, or when I was a kid, and just say, I don't care about life. I don't have to do any chores. I'm just playing games. So that was dope. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the more games they put here, one of the things that jumps off the page in any conversation is the fact that the genres are so uniquely different, from puzzlers to do-bro shooters and everything in between. I can't get enough of it personally. But let's get Mr. Badbit. Did I get your opinion yet? Yes, I did.
On these cool, dope indies, absolutely, you did.
Yes, I certainly did. Archimedes, you have been pushing the narrative known as Xbox Game Pass for quite some time, and there's a good reason for it. And today there are 5 more reasons. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts is where can I find the time to play them all? That's my biggest problem. No, I mean, a lot of good points have already been made. Game Pass is diverse. It has everything in there, from the biggest blockbuster game to the smallest indie game. Each and every genre is in there. There's just something for everyone, and they keep adding and adding to that to Game Pass, and it's just awesome to see. And especially for these kind of indie games, Game Pass offers something unique because it offers discoverability. For indie games, it's really hard to be discovered these days. Yeah, when you go into the Xbox store, the PlayStation store, on Steam, wherever, there are so many indie games, and for most of them, you have never heard anything. And Game Pass offers them this unique chance to be discovered, to be played, and to be a topic out there on social media. It's what I always call the Game Pass effect. Yeah, when people start playing a game and talk about it on social media, this is the best advertisement you can wish for. And that's what is so special for those little indie games about Game Pass, because it gets people to actually play and talk about the game. Even though it's not a Game Pass, but Death's Door is the best example right now. I think without social media, people wouldn't have played that, but somehow people said, "Oh, it's awesome! You have to try it," and more people talked about it, and more and more people played it, and that's what Game Pass offers to these indie devs, and that's awesome. I'm happy for them. Everyone should play Hades. I finished it on the Switch. It's awesome, fantastic game. Yeah, like I said. Fantastic thing for these indie devs and us gamers.
I definitely for the gamers. Great for the indie community because the people get to play the games, but amazing for Xbox gamers that support it. Josh, let's get your opinion on this. 5 new games added to what is already a stout list of titles, and they're not done for the month of August. That is just the first round. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I mean, just to kind of echo what you guys have been saying, there's something for everybody. There is something for everybody here, and that's a good thing, right? Yeah. And the games like Hades, so much hype, right? Game of the year.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have a Switch, you were kind of left out in the cold, right? And so now you're going to get to experience this in glorious 4K, right, Joe? And he's
Not
currently-
that's because he has dumb eyes.
yeah, he's currently
Which is
praising
going to be
his
the new
praising his
hashtag,
TV.
dumb
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, so it again, like this is going to bring a second life to Hades, right? And that's a good thing. That's when games hit Game Pass day one, it's a good thing, and when they hit Game Pass a year later, it's still a good thing, because it's just again, it puts Xbox in the narrative of helping to tell the story of these devs, publishers, so on and so forth, that lives get to be impacted, and we
Can
get
I
to be
say something,
entertained.
Josh?
Sure.
Can I say something very, very maybe controversial? If something's not 4K anymore, I don't want to look at it.
Oh, there you go. The snobbery comes out. The snobbery,
Exactly.
I should say. The snobbery
Not-
has
It's
come
begun.
out.
No auto HDR, no
Oh, my
120 FPSs and all that. I don't even want to get it out of my peripheral. That's where I don't even want it.
The snobbery has
Yeah,
come
man.
out from Joe,
That
because
means
you know
you can't
what?
play on the PlayStation anymore, right? Because
I
it
can
has
play
no auto
about
HDR.
7 games. I could play about 7 games.
Seven.
Settle. All right, VR support's coming out in December.
Speaking
We're
of
gonna be
VR, we're
good.
going to be talking about that. Some new stories with the VR stuff. He's bowing to his remote. Speaking of which, most one in the chat says that in his area they have a 65-inch TV that I believe that Joe bought. It's an open box with no remote control should he pounce on it. And I would say if you get the warranty that makes sure that it, obviously there isn't defective, you can buy that remote anywhere. You can go right onto Amazon.com and just buy the remote.
How much is it off though?
Yes,
I love this remote. How much is the remote? What's the warranty looking like? These are the questions you got. Yeah, what's the deal? Because if someone threw an egg at it or whatever, I don't know. I want to know about it.
Interesting. Well, I'll watch the chat to see what he responds. But you know what, VJ, let's grab your opinion on this, and we'll move on to the final and the big topic of the show, folks. Your thoughts on 5 more games coming to Game Pass, a service that continues to provide its value proposition unlike anything in gaming. What are your thoughts?
I think Hades we already knew about, right, since it was announced during E3. So
yes.
So setting Hades to one side, unfortunately for me, the other titles didn't really grab me or pang my twang. However, on the fortunate side of things, though, there continues to
Hang your twang.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
like
you
that one.
dirty
That's
dog,
nice.
you.
Trust Mr. Bad Bit, right? But on the fortunate side of things, Boom, there continues to be, sort of rotationally speaking, several other titles in Game Pass that currently have my full attention, and but I won't bore you with the list. So it's for me, it's these games that I'm playing right now in Game Pass. I think as Josh mentioned and guest mentioned, they're inundated with content to play right now, and for me, these games are going to sort of tide me over until Tales of Arise and I think Lost Judgment, which are both releasing in September, I believe, and I better mention that they're not in Game Pass as of today, right? They're just full price launch titles at that moment in time, and I know that some of us are perhaps are looking to these specific titles that you've mentioned today with bated breath, right? And are happy that the games are being launched, and I have no quarrel with that whatsoever. So on one hand, the question I have for Xbox is, how do these titles affect or influence the trajectory and rise in Game Pass subscribers, if at all? And I get the distinct feeling, as I often do in my gut, I'm not saying I'm always right, that more could be done to sort of accentuate and highlight Game Pass. But then I've got one eye on the last couple of quarters or the back end of the third quarter and the majority of the fourth quarter, and perhaps Microsoft or Xbox perhaps are keeping powder dry, right, for the holiday season. And then on the other hand, as a consumer, it's hard for me to complain at this precise moment in time, given that besides full price games that I've bought outside of the service, in the service itself, itself, I've sort of, I think, to my surprise, I have to say, Boom, I completed more than 22 titles in the last 8 months, and I assumed it was perhaps 8 or 10 at the most. It was just that because I was behind on a podcast, and I was sort of behind the scenes, and we were chatting and like, how many games have you played? And then I went away and then I counted up. I was really, really surprised. And that's what I found when I was asked the question and on my personal inspection. And for me, it's a surefire given that I would not have given perhaps 85-90% of these titles a second glance in terms of a purchase, let alone looking at them on the shelf, or sort of reaching the conclusion of every game in terms of the main story thread or main storyline and a reasonable percentage of side content, right? So, and this is just my personal account or take, right? And I would expect that Xbox as a company or as a division to have far more centralized, or better still, aggregated data on hand, right, to understand exactly what needs to be done to retain subscribers and what actions or courses of action need to be taken or realized in order to take Game Pass forward. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, we don't know what's coming. Plans can change and fall into place, and as do opportunities often fall into people's laps. And we've just got to hope that the people that those opportunities and the laps that those opportunities fall into have got their eyes wide open, and it'll all happen for Game Pass, no doubt, as long as you know what the purpose of it is. And I think we've often said that. I've nearly forgot his name there. Phil Spencer. He knows the purpose of Game Pass, and I think that's the most critical thing going forward. Anyway, that's my take on it.
No, great take as always, folks. Listen, this has been a lot of fun. This show, certainly a lot of fun. I want to get into topic number 4, folks. But before I do, DeAndre Banks drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Xbox is really rolling. Halo 2021, Starfield 2022, indeed. We also have a super chat that came away. Quite a few of them. Hold on just a second. RRD drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, what makes RNC Rift travel better, more next gen than Splitgate portals? Splitgate is just as fast or faster. Was it the marketing? I mean, I listen, I love Ratchet and Clank for everything it does. I don't know why. I haven't played Splitgate. I know that's the summer game. That's how everyone is talking about that game. So I honestly couldn't answer that question, but it could be. I mean, it is a big PS5 exclusive to obviously Splitgate.
What was that? I'm sorry.
He was saying that what's the difference between how Ratchet and Clank does the travel / better, more next gen than Splitgate's portals. I don't know because I've never played Splitgate, so I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah,
that's
portals kind of work like Portal 1 and 2. They're very similar kind of mechanics to that, whereas Ratchet and Clank, I think, is because you're loading instead of like the map already being preloaded. Ratchet and Clank, you're loading like that whole new area in that motion. So yeah, I think there's some very different mechanics at play there. From what I can tell anyway. I haven't played Ratchet and Clank, but from what I've seen from gameplay, it's very different to the way Split.
Oh, it's definitely in my top 10 for 2021.
May I jump in here real quick?
Sure.
It's an unpopular opinion, but I think. Let me start by saying I really love Ratchet and Clank. I'm not saying anything against it. It's in my top 3 this year. It's for me a Game of the Year contender, no doubt. Yeah. It's an amazing game, but the portal thing and everything is that this is only possible with an SSD is, in my opinion, nonsense. All these sequences have been scripted. The portals you can actually choose to port yourself in were just on the map, just like in split screen. So I don't think Splitgate, pardon me. So I think there's actually no real difference because.
Oh, I think you're very wrong there. So a lot of things that, and I think some of the Insomniac devs would point a few things out, but loading up an area, like when you're getting into the ship, and you want to go to the level select screen, those levels are already loaded. That animation is just is literally, it doesn't actually even need to exist. That's how fast the levels have loaded.
It is. That
And so
I'm not
with
questioning the speed of the load times. That's no
Yeah.
problem. But there is a short loading sequence, which is like 1 second or something like that,
Yeah.
where you always go through the light tunnel or something like that. And with a slower SSD or a slower hard drive, it would just be a longer sequence. It wouldn't be the same experience because it takes out of the fluidity, no doubt. But it's not that it's technically doable, because the big jumps in between the rifts where you switch from one world to another world is always scripted. This stuff is loaded already, preloaded in the background while you're playing the big game, because the game knows what is coming. The good thing about the rift mechanics are these little rifts that are actually on the map, where you get to choose at any point, do I beam myself to that portal or not? And in that portal, you don't have to load in the entire or the entire level is loaded in. So I really didn't see
I
it.
would still disagree with you to the point where the one level where it's an homage to Alien, that is where I'm like, you can't do this on a PS4. I would go further to say that there are some points where there's elevator sequences for sure, where I'm just like, this is a loading screen. I could see that's a loading screen. But Splitgate is very much a Portal-esque. You're loading into the map. Yeah, you're loading into the map. It is a great analogy that Puppies has put out. But no, they're not 1-to-1. One's obviously using the power of next gen. One is literally loading up a map and with preordained spots to jump in and out of that one area, and it's a very small area as well. So.
Well, that's one thing I gotta give you. Obviously, the levels are a little bit smaller than they are in Ratchet. But again, it's the big jumps in between the levels are preloaded. That's in the background, and they can do that quickly because of the SSD. It would be a little bit longer on a hard drive. And the thing where you actually get to choose is more or less the same mechanic than it is in Splitgate, just that the maps are a little bit bigger. So, but I agree to disagree here. It's totally fine. We will never know because we are not developers, right?
Again, the developers even said that animation is just, it's just it doesn't even need to exist. You could literally just there. It's just there to build I can't think of the word in my head right now, but immersion into the traveling. So it's to put you in the literal cockpit, but you don't have to be in the cockpit whatsoever. You can literally load it up like that. It takes literal seconds. That's incredibly impressive to me.
Thank you for the clarification, brother.
The game is technically very impressive. There's no doubt.
It's definitely in my top 10. I don't know if it's going to make my top 5. I think a lot of the indie games that we've been talking about are going to fill the top 5 this year.
Dude, Death's Door right there is for me. Like it's like Returnal, Ratchet, Death's Door. They're all these three, and like Hitman has a shank in there somewhere where like they're all fighting. Man, I don't know who's going to win at the end of the year.
It's going to be a very, very interesting game of the year for 2021 for sure. But real quick, Smitty Smith drops an outstanding, very generous $10 with Jen. Says, salute to the panel in the chat. This Game Pass thing is getting out of hand. It has too many games. I can't keep up. As Boom would say, for the love of Jehovah, the Book of X. Indeed. Definitely a tagline for me. Brett Bingham drops a very generous $5 with Jen. Says, Kojima news incoming. I haven't been on social media pretty much the whole day, so I don't know. Hopefully it does something drop today, so I have something to talk about tomorrow on Breakfast with Boom. He says the Spartan from Halo holding a flag on the moon of the on the Xbox tweet definitely seems like what? Definitely seems like an obvious Ludens reference. Oh snap! I do drop that into my DM at Mr. Boomstick XL. I got to see what you're talking about. I missed that, which should be ashamed of myself because that would have been a lead story. But listen, speaking of the lead story, that's what we're going to talk about right now. Now, look, this story, because obviously there hasn't been a lot of news. Sometimes you got to dig a little bit. Now, I'm going to say this. I specifically wrote this for Josh because obviously he is a big fan of Crimson Skies. It has a personal take. Him and his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, went out and bought another. He found out, tells a story about how he got another TV so they could play co-op. That's dope. But here is the thing is this particular topic is one of those homebrew kind of a conversations that I enjoy talking, but more importantly, writing. And I'll say this, I have been openly extremely critical at times for Xbox in their lack of resurgence for older IPs. Now, of course, I'm extremely grateful for the return of both Fable and Perfect Dark, right? But in my opinion, that's not enough. That's just me. Okay. Now, if you agree, great. If you disagree, that's fine too. But this is where we start to wonder if maybe Phil Spencer is on board with bringing back some older IPs. In that interview with Kind of Funny Games that happened early in July of this year, head of Xbox Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer, and I think he's got to get a fourth name. King says no, but I disagree. Had some very interesting things to say about Xbox's legacy IPs. And here are some of those comments. He says this: absolutely it does, replied Spencer when asked that very question regarding older IPs. Take Prey, which I think was an amazing game when it came out, but a lot of people missed. Seeing more people playing something like Prey or Dishonored or going back to Fable, you can talk about those games for us as we sit back and as a creative organization and watch what people are interested in. It gives us more data to think about things when we might pick up and take forward a new idea and some new teams that might want to go and do that. Game Pass is a great source for gathering data, and that data can be used to pitch the next big reboot, whether that be Fable or something even older. Now, this is he goes on to say this, folks. This is not a preview of something that we're getting ready to announce, but when I think of the work that Jordan Weisman did, when I think of Shadowrun and Crimson Skies and Mechasol, there are some fantastic deep stories and worlds there. There are some rights issues with some of those things, and of course he's talking about Mechasol. But if you ask me flat out, if there was a studio in our past that I would love for us to be able to open up the catalog and allow more people to play, FASA is definitely at the top of this list. Now, this, folks, is not the first time that we have heard Phil Spencer specifically mention by name Crimson Skies. What's more interesting is that Crimson Skies just found its way to Xbox Game Pass. Now, I have the original one sitting right up over here because I'm a stand for this game, and I know Josh is. And if you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't know what Crimson Skies is, maybe you weren't a part of the OG Xbox. It is basically Indiana Jones with planes, and it was published in the year 2000 by Microsoft Game Studios, and it was developed by Zipper Interactive. And this is what Zipper had to say on it. Since it's an arcade flight game, it's not about simulating reality. It's about fulfilling fantasies. And this, of course, comes to us directly from series creator Jordan Weisman. Now, look, again, this is a topic that don't go out and say Boom is saying that Crimson Skies is coming from Asobo. Let me lead up to why I think it's possible. Now, when I was writing this topic, of course, the talk of the town has been Microsoft Flight Simulator. And that, of course, is by Asobo Studios, which you know they're currently at work supporting this game, right? They're making Rat Game Part 2, which escapes my what the name of the game is. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass. If you missed out on the first, what was the name of the rat game that I'm talking about? I have to call it by name.
A Plague Tale?
Yes,
Yeah.
A Plague Tale. Thank you. For the love of Joe, I could not. For the love of Jehovah, that's for you, Smitty. I didn't remember, but A Plague's Tale is an amazing story game. It's that over-the-shoulder, story-driven, unbelievable graphics. Tells a story of a lot of heartache, a lot of family stuff going on. Definitely check that out. But they're making a part 2, right, which is fantastic. And I know somebody in the chat had earlier said, well, Boom, I don't necessarily know if Asobo Studios could take on Crimson Skies using the tech that they have from Microsoft Flight Simulator, because they're working on 2 games. Folks, that studio is pretty large, to be honest with you. And I think they've been hiring. Now, again, this is just me throwing it out there. I don't have any inside scoops. No one wrote to Boom and said, hey, Boom, Crimson Skies, Asobo Studios, lock it in. I just thought it would be an interesting topic because the name of the game for Crimson Skies was Flying. It was basically Indiana Jones. It had an incredible, and I mean absolutely incredible multiplayer, but it had a dope single player aspect, which again, it was that kind of Indiana Jones-esque type of title. Josh, I want to go to you first on this because you obviously, like myself, are a stand for this game. Would it be pretty dope if Asobo Studios was, in fact, making a reboot for Crimson Skies, maybe even like a remaster? Would you take it?
Anything Crimson Skies, I'm all about it. Right? I'm all about it. As I came up to record the show, I was having coffee with my wife on the porch, and I said, we're gonna talk about Crimson Skies today, and she lit up. Like she just lit up.
I love it.
She's like, oh, I lost some sleep to that game. Like,
oh, that's great.
It was one of the few games that I would go to bed late and I would still get woke up to her like yelling at somebody on Xbox Live voice chat, or not yelling, but like getting hyped and like, yeah, take that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah. That's
so
awesome.
anything Crimson Skies. I mean, if you guys look back, remember when Xbox One announced OG Xbox titles were going to be backwards compatible, and Crimson Skies, and the place went crazy.
Yes,
like it went wild. This is a series that I think so many fans like right now, and it's getting better. But when you think about Xbox, it's like, oh, Halo, Gears, Forza, and right. I mean, I know there's Fable, there's some Perfect Dark, right? There's other things out there, but typically those are kind of the few that we think about. And there's such a rich library of past titles. And I mean, isn't Nathan Drake the lead character in Crimson Skies? Like,
he certainly looks like it. That's for sure. I mean, the guy does resemble Drake. Yes,
he's also voiced by Nolan North. So
yes, he is.
That's what, I was trying to get Joe to just.
I've never played a Crimson Sky in my life. But I could try to do a Nolan North impersonation if you'd like.
You need to download it on Game Pass and play the campaign.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It still looks
I'm not into the flying. If it's not an X-Wing or a TIE fighter, I'm genuinely like out.
It plays just like it.
It does.
Yeah,
it
but
really
like,
does.
It's not though.
But it
like, I need an X-Wing.
It's Uncharted in like,
yes,
squadrons.
Yes,
right, but like. It's still not getting me through the door. There's not a Millennium Falcon.
Were you a fan of the Rocketeer as a kid?
Oh, am I alive? Do I breathe? Okay, Josh, absolutely.
Then play Crimson Skies, and you'll go. Okay. I understand.
Yeah, it's very Rocketeer.
Like the same time period, the same kind of.
Is the Rocketeer in there?
I mean.
No, but no.
Man, they need to bring that movie back, dude. Like, right? What's it? The Rocketeer? He's like, oh, I made an Iron Man suit in a barn, and I'm here fighting Nazis. Is that right? Yeah. Am I getting it right? It's been literally 20 plus years since I've seen it, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Anything Crimson, like, and not just Crimson Skies, Mech Assault. Like, we know Microsoft has the money. Just make the licensing go away. Just buy everything and make it theirs. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I mean, both Crimson Skies and I was giving this some thought ahead of time because I know you said you had written this for me, and so the studio, to me, I just want somebody that can nail arcade style flying.
Yeah.
That's it. Dogfights, arcade dogfights. That's just Crimson Skies was the only other game that we would do LAN parties with other than Halo. Like, I would get enough people together and we would hook up Xboxes to play Crimson Skies because it was just that much fun. And the community that even back then, without having much, like, other than like forums and stuff, we just had a community. You would get in and it was like,
It was fun.
the crew showed up.
It was fun.
And
yeah,
it was a good time. And not only dogfighting, but capture the flag and different game modes that, you're talking about while you're flying around playing capture the flag. And it was great. You'd see the bulldog just screaming across the skies trying to get to the other base, and everybody's shooting at him. I mean, it was so much fun. And I always look at games like that and like extreme sports titles and stuff that like were a hit in the 2000s, late 90s, and then to try to bring that back now, we're into a different world, right? So they've got to get creative, but I think it gives the opportunity for maybe a smaller indie studio to really shine. There's some stellar titles out there that are arcade style flight, dogfighting games, but they don't have online typically, so they don't get the kind of press. And so I know there's teams out there that could really make a great Crimson Skies, and that you could easily see a decent sized community around a game like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You know what, Puppies, I want to grab your opinion on this, because specifically Phil Spencer in this interview said that because of Xbox Game Pass, it allows them to take chances with games because they're not worried about having to sell said game we have to sell 5 million copies, otherwise we're going to take a big L here. No, I mean, again, the Game Pass motto and obviously what it's doing for smaller titles, people are playing, people are downloading. Crimson Skies, specifically by an Asobo Studios, which is a monster developer. Everyone thinks, oh, they're small. They're a monster developer, not because of what they've done, because of their size. They have it's a pretty hefty studio. With that said, though, right? With that said, because they've done so well with Flight Sim, I mean, to get a group, because I mean, listen, Grounded was made by 6 people, and Grounded is a phenomenal game. It's our passion project, 6 people. And they made it what it is. Now, sure, are there more people working on it now? That's because it became something. But why not drop, 5, 10, 15 people onto Asobo Studios, who's incredible at making flying games, and give them Crimson Skies? What are your thoughts on that?
Do it immediately. I need this. I've never played Crimson Skies. I don't know how, or I don't remember it. I haven't played it, or I don't remember. I actually went and watched some gameplay before coming on here to kind of refresh. I don't remember this at all. But I love Asobo. The flight simulator is incredible. Plague Tale is one of my favorite games, and I am so hyped that they are doing a second one. I was like,
Yes.
I finished. It's one of those games where I finished it, and I'm like, I immediately need a second one now. Where is it? So I'm really keen. When I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, let's go. Number 2.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. Recall was game by them. I didn't love as much. I had some issues with that, but Asobo are a really well-rounded studio. They're one of those studios that don't just do a type of game. They do several types of game. And I think if there's a studio that can pull it off and bring back one of their old games, it's going to be them. And I would really, really love to see that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Josh had to jump out, but we'll give him he has to run for a work meeting. Joe, let's get your opinion. I mean, listen, I totally get that you are like, listen, if it's not X-Wing, it's not a Millennium Falcon, it's not a TIE Fighter, I'm not playing it. But this is one of those OG Xbox franchises that could easily find new life in Xbox Game Pass. Phil Spencer, again, it's not the first time he has mentioned that by name. He's talked about it numerous times, which means that him and Matt Booty might have had conversations of how do we bring this back? And I think Game Pass is the answer. I mean, do you think that they need to do that more often with some of their older IPs? Because you and I both agree that Sony and Nintendo do it right with their celebrating their older IPs. It's one thing I really put a feather in Sony's cap, bringing back the old games that their fan base wants to see. I'd love to see Microsoft do more of it. What about you?
I think you see it with like Joanna Dark. Right? Like,
yes.
I would love to see them go out there and, like you say, Killer Instinct would be pretty rad.
Hello, somebody listening from Microsoft. Yes, please.
Here's the truest thing. A lot of people talk about Sean Layden's comments about Game Pass or services like them. This is a test to kind of counter that, because when you think of like a flight sim is a great example, but like just aerial combat games, how many of them are there? How many of them come out a year? It's a genre that is kind of
Untapped.
very limited.
Yeah.
And you could even say untapped or just very niche. And so this is a great way of saying, you know what, Sean Layden? No, consolidation isn't the enemy of innovation. In fact, it could actually lead to some pretty innovative stuff. So it'd be cool, though. I wouldn't be, it would have to show me something pretty spectacular for me to be on board, in all honesty. But yeah, I think it would be a pretty cool idea. That said, I want to tackle this Rocketeer idea. Listen, what if we're using the Anthem like engine, but it's like a really good single player game,
yes.
right? Like I'm the Rocketeer
please.
and I'm fighting Nazis. It's like the best thing. You give me jetpacks and punching Nazis, great. Like that game is a 9.7 right there, dude. I don't care if anyone.
Rumors are
tells
that's
me.
the new Wolfenstein game. They're adding
Oh,
jetpacks.
yes, come
There we go.
on.
Sorted.
Done
Take it out of
deal.
first person. Give me third person, story driven, Rocketeer.
RPG elements. I get
Well,
different leather
if
coats.
Gears of War can change genre, Wolfenstein can do it too. Let's mix it up a bit.
I absolutely agree. I like it. I definitely like it. Let's get Archimedes' opinion on this. Archimedes, like I said, you and I have had this conversation before. We want Microsoft to bring back some of the older IPs. I mean, I don't get a lot of tweets that blow up for my feed. Like I'll do something in 30, 40 people. And like, okay, that's a win. People actually care what Boom says. I did pictures of my Banjo-Kazooie.
Dude.
Does that
illegal how good it looks.
Hold on a second. I'm going to get it to show the folks.
Please. Gang, everybody, audience, this is the coolest freaking controller you'd ever seen in your life.
It looks like, folks.
I thought this looks amazing.
Holder for this.
Look at that.
There it is. And here's the controller. Let me put this. Let me stand the
I'm gonna need that holder immediately.
Right?
Close up. Here's the back. Here's the front.
Yeah.
You can't see the wording. I don't know why I paid the $10 for it, because you can't see it. Even I can. I got glasses. It says Banjo-Kazooie on there, folks. This is like 400 people like retweeted it and favored it. It's ridiculous. But yeah, bring back the Bird and Bear. I know Colt Eastwood says nay. Me and Colt would disagree on that. I love Colt, but he says, hats off to a second party. Don't do it first party. I say boo to Colt. Not many people will, but I will boo Colt and be happy about that. We need that. But again, seriously, Archimedes, do you, like myself, want to see Microsoft celebrate some of their older IPs and bring them back?
Sure, absolutely. And I love the idea of Asobo doing Crimson Skies. I mean, we know they can do storytelling, and we know that they can do flying games.
Yes.
Perfect match, yeah. Now, I mean, a lot of good points have been made. It's always kind of difficult to have that new IPs in your catalog and to respect the IPs you already have, and even going back to some very old IPs like they do it now with Perfect Dark, with Fable, and so on. And I love that they are doing kind of both of it. Yeah, they go back to old IPs, reinvent them in new ways, and I love that they also bring out new IPs. Yeah, with like Redfall, Avowed, Starfield. Awesome. We have both in there. Now, what we are missing, Boom, is that Blue Point level of remake. That is what we are missing. Yeah,
yes.
We have this. I always say, okay, don't waste your capacity on older games, but if you nail a remake properly, it is something fantastic. I just today I downloaded the DLC for the Final Fantasy VII remake. That is freaking awesome, that game, and I want this kind of remake, this kind of level with a Crimson Skies, because I don't know if we would get a sequel if that could hit the same level of quality, because in the first one they just nailed it. They nailed that combination of a dogfighting game with story meets Uncharted meets. It was fantastic. I don't know whether they can do that again, but if they can bring that game over to modern graphics, to modern gameplay mechanics, that would be awesome, and would make me really happy, because like everyone said here on the panel, Crimson Skies is a hidden gem. It is a fantastic game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know something, because Microsoft has hired so many people, because we know that they're not afraid to build. I know that we've heard, you heard Satya Nadella said, for us, it's easier to simply buy a studio than build one. And to his point, obviously he runs Microsoft. He knows a hell of a lot more than I do. I agree with that. But here is where Microsoft could essentially take talent from each of their 23, potentially more studios that they have unannounced, and build a Blue Point level studio to simply take on, because there are a lot of developers that are passionate about some older games, and I'm sure that if polled within the development community that's a part of Xbox, hey guys and gals, we are thinking about building a team that brings back older IPs. Who wants to be a part of it and build that said studio? I think you'd get a lot of people to jump on board on that, honestly. And because there are a lot of people that love these classic titles that would love to be able to bring some of these older games back. Listen, this has been a great 2 hours. I got to get VJ's opinion on this, and then we'll get everyone out of here with outros. VJ, what are your thoughts on the fact of Microsoft potentially bringing back what seems to be a well-received Crimson Skies, and even having someone like Asobo Studios do it?
I've never played for Crimson Skies, and therefore I have no sort of nostalgic attachment to it.
Okay.
But even though I can't offer you any sort of opinion as to the game deserving a sequel or a remake or whatnot, it would be interesting to know who has the ownership of the source code. And you would think it's Microsoft, right? Since they funded the project.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah. So, and if Microsoft owns the latest iteration of source code, which you would, as you say, should be the case, or is probably the wisest approach in this case, then you could conceivably appoint a different team, right? Or construct or purchase, as we've said a couple of times on the show, Boom, under one of your topics is, as I say, construct or purchase a remake studio of their own, right? To reincarnate a modern version of Crimson Skies, perhaps with Captain Banjo as an optional playable protagonist. I don't know the game, so I don't know if he fits in anywhere. And kill two birds with one stone. Anyway, I say this since I feel that to Boxham Bear's a point, right? I feel that Asobo Studios have been around for a long time. I think for at least 16 or 17 years, from my opinion. And I think they even used to make platformers early on in their studio setup. So they seem to have come of age a lot. Well, other than coming a long way, they've also come of age and gained sort of, I guess you could say, a prominence, right, in and amongst their peers, especially the gaming community, right. And they're definitely in the process of becoming a good, if not a great, studio. And I don't just mean that in terms of visuals and design and that, but also in terms of reliability, right, and the quality that they output at the end of their production cycles. Therefore, from what I can sense, they will. Asobo, I'm talking about, will certainly build on their sort of creative and technical success. And as you were mentioning, Boom, A Plague's Tale 2, which is still on my list, even though there's so many recommendations from this panel to get on with and play it. There's so many other things that get in the way. But yeah, I think Asobo, from a creative and technical, have shown that they've had creative and technical success and are probably moving on to crafting new worlds and experiences. That would be my hope for them. I haven't walked in their shoes, and I wouldn't be one to tell them what to do, but as I say, I'm really, really sorry I can't speak more to the sort of nostalgic splendor of Crimson Skies, and you're going to have to carry on living the dream or carrying the dream without me. So anyway, that's all for me.
Well, listen, I mean, good stuff as always. I mean, you never played the game, so you're limited to what you could say about it. But I think that it's been said enough on this panel from everyone that's on this panel that Crimson Skies is a beloved IP. It's one that could come back, should come back, and I'd like to see Microsoft do more of that. But listen, folks, What a great 2+ hour show. Hopefully you enjoyed enough to not only subscribe if you're new to the channel, but also hit the like button, the thumbs up button. Obviously, the likes do matter. I'm not driven by numbers like some folks are. It does help me in the algorithm, which no one will ever figure out in YouTube. Again, the march to 10K is going strong. Hopefully, we can hit that by year's end. But listen, let's start with our guest. Obviously, Puppy's voice and host of Two Left Thumbs podcast. He was gracious enough to interview me about a week and a half ago. Definitely get over there and check out the interview. It was very candid, very relaxed, and you find out some new stuff of Boom. Sell your brand, brother, and tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media.
All right. Well, I host a little show called Two Left Thumbs podcast. I find people that love video games, whether that be creators, streamers, people working in the development industry as well, anyone that loves video games, and just finding out more about them. So like last week I had a sound designer on and we spoke about how he works within his job and how he came to be where he is and what he loves doing. And I like to find people like that and really bring the light to them to show like the different side of game development, really, and just the whole other side to gaming and just the people that love gaming. That's what this show is all about. You can find us on Twitter at left_pod, Instagram at Two Left Thumbs podcast. You can also find us on all your podcasting platforms of choice. Just look for Two Left Thumbs podcast. You can also find us on YouTube at twoleftthumbs.online. We do it every week and it's incredibly fun. I've had both Archie and Boom on the show now. I'm getting through the cast.
Nice.
Bad Bit, you're next, by the way.
Yes, I was about to say I was gonna invite myself on. Okay, good.
I'll get in your DMs later. But yeah, if you'd like to check it out, feel free to. Guys, again, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an absolute honor. It's great 2 hours. I mean, I know it's late for me, but it's been worth every second. I'm gonna be thanking myself in the morning for all the extra sleep I'm gonna need.
Well, I definitely appreciate you being here, brother. You definitely got the golden ticket. You'll be coming back hopefully sooner than later. And obviously, we will help push your podcast, which I think everyone should check out. We love supporting one another, at least in the community that I roll with. And I think that you are one people should definitely check out. Mr. Bad Bit. And I'm probably going to have to do something flashy with your name now that you have over 200,000 downloads for the trophy room. Tell everyone about the best PlayStation game that is currently making Greg Miller lose sleep at night. How you like them apples?
I think he's sleeping soundly. Listen, this week's episode, I feel like every August is I have to give up an episode to the podcast gods, right? A sacrifice must be given at the altar, and the altar just happens to be this month in August. Every August, every year, this podcast, we lose an episode. This week's episode is going to be a day late, but not a dollar short. That I could be assured of. We're going to be talking about some pretty big news like that SSD stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about that Metal Gear Silent Hill remake stuff. We're going to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn possible delay. We're going to talk about some things, and I know a thing or two in this noggin that maybe I can or cannot share on that show that maybe you should check out on Friday, tomorrow. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, it is, I'll say it, you get one every day, a certified banger. Okay. Again, I hate that word, but I'll use it once.
There you go.
$5 is deducted from the bank. So yeah, go check out the Trophy Room, PS Trophy Room. I have a goal. It's to get PS Trophy Room to 2,000 followers on Twitter. Because the one thing that I've noticed, and I mentioned this on our Twitter, is that we are one of the rare PlayStation focused things that is strictly positive. We're not here to tweet out physics in Halo. You know what I mean? Like shooting a watermelon to show you how it's we want to congratulate developers who are developing games, and we give kudos to Xbox when it's due, which is a lot. We give kudos to PlayStation, criticize it when needed, and Nintendo exists from time to time. So check out the Trophy Room. It really is one of the rare gems of the internet where we're trying to go against what SEO demands, which is if it bleeds, it leads. We are truly doing the total opposite, and we're loving the interaction, we're loving the growth, we're loving the positivity and the thoughtful conversations that lead out of there. So everybody go check out PS Trophy Room on Twitter, the Trophy Room on all your podcast services. Give us a follow there. And yeah, sorry, as long-winded as it is. Also, Boom,
sir,
I'm leaving the show soon.
Yes,
starting
folks.
in September.
Yep. And why?
I'm gonna
why
be sad.
Why are you leaving the show and making us all
I
sad?
got a new job.
He got a new job, and it's a great job, folks.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will go into more detail. But yes, we will be looking for not so much a replacement, someone to actually fill in for Joe, who will be returning, unlike Luke Lore, who said he would be back. Hasn't been back yet.
Liar. He's a liar, Boom.
Luke,
Let's just call it how it is.
We love you, Luke. But yeah, Joe will be coming back from time to time when he's on break. But yeah. So super proud of Joe. You know, he the job he's going to be holding is not a job, folks. It's a career. And I could not be prouder. He will go into further detail. I won't spoil that for you. But Joe, thank you for being here. Archimedes, you have been blowing up on the scene. Your videos have been absolutely astounding. The quality. Colt, if you're listening, I know you listen to this podcast. This guy is coming for your job. Obviously, the work, the hours that go into it's clear that the professionalism behind it. Sell your brand, brother, and tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that outstanding compliment. I don't think I'm on the same level like Cole, but I try to do my best and bring people entertainment. And yeah, people can find me basically everywhere at Boxenberger. The channel here on YouTube, like you said, has seen some tremendous growth. I'm really grateful for all the support, and thank you for everyone who subscribed and everyone who is interested. Definitely check the channel out. I do commentary videos about the video game industry. I upload 1 or 2 videos per week where I cover certain topics of gaming and what is happening in gaming. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. YouTube has become just a bit as big as of a hobby as gaming itself. I really enjoy it. And yeah, recently I built a brand new PC for the channel, so I can upload now the videos in 4K 60 FPS. And yeah, at least they look good now. I don't know whether the content itself is good, but you can't deny that it looks good now. And
it's good. It's good, Archimedes. You stop being humble. Own it, you know?
Thank you.
4,000 in like over a year, right? Or something like that.
A little bit more than a year. Yeah. That's really awesome.
Yeah. It's a huge deal, yeah.
And yeah, Joe, since I won't be here in the next 3 weeks, because I'm going on summer vacation, man. It's been an awesome ride with you. I'm going to miss you. I have to hold back a tear, really. It was something I was always looking forward to each and every week. So, but I think we will meet again in podcasts, maybe here with Boom or somewhere else. So it's not. Yeah. But Boom,
it's not the end of March. I miss your beautiful German accent, your cheery demeanor.
Don't worry, Joe. We'll get you back on when you're on vacation for sure. And but yeah, thanks for everything, Archimedes. Obviously, he's taking 3 weeks off, folks, to hang out with the family, and he'll be back probably the first week of September, when we're going to be rolling into the fall, where there's going to be a lot of games, and we're going to have a lot to talk about on the Xbox Factor podcast. And last, and in no way least, VJ, tell everyone what other shows you're working on, brother, and what you got going on, and where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Thanks, Boom. Nice to meet you, puppies. Congratulations, Mr. Badbit, Joe. And Archimedes, I have no idea how you've managed to get Boom to sign off on 3 weeks worth of vacation. It's incredible.
I'm actually only going on 2 weeks vacation, but I'm going from Thursday to Thursday. So that's why I missed 3 shows.
Oh, dear. But it's always a pleasure to be on these shows with you, Archimedes. You've been always bring a fantastic perspective and to proceedings. And Boom, thank you as always. And you can find me on this show on Thursdays and on Midweek Gaming on Wednesdays. Thanks again, Boom. See you next week.
Well, thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And of course, I want to thank everybody. First of all, I want to thank all the super chats that have come in. There was quite a few of them today. The generosity, not to be believed. Thank you so much. And of course, I want to thank my guests. I want to thank the near 400 people we had here today. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Play whatever you want to play, where you want to play it. And of course, I'll close out today's show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.